You can receive monies from your family and friends in UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland, and the rest of the world with our safe, secure, fast, and convenient service that offers you the largest selection of payout locations in the Gambia. Supersonics Money Transfer. We are currently in 34 African countries and counting, giving you quality money remittance services that are second to none. Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple Store today to download the Supersonics Money Transfer app and enjoy excellent money transfer services only with Supersonics.
Gamsobis in focus with Khalilu Banjang every Saturday from 8 to 10 p.m.
You want to know about the Gambia entertainment industry. You want to know the existing policies and programs of the arts and culture sector. You want to know about the governance and management of the arts associations. The program will throw a fresh light on the entertainment industry in focus. We will touch so many angles about the cultural sector, the opportunities and challenges, and interrogate them, and most importantly, offer solutions.
Honorable Chair, we do have some observations and proposals. The bill as presented to us was reviewed by the Joint Committee, and our observation is thus: we received evidence and mapped the absence of the following key concepts connected to petroleum activities under the interpretation clause in the bill. That is licensee, midstream, Petroleum Act, upstream. One will see that the original bill presented does not have the interpretation of these four elements. We are now proposing that they be incorporated in the bill. And licensee will now be defined to mean a person who has entered into a license with the minister under the Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production Act 2004. In terms of midstream means the segment of the petroleum value chain comprising the processing, storing, transporting, and marketing of petroleum. Petroleum Act means Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production Act 2004, Chapter 65.
Gamsobis in focus with Khalilu Banjang every Saturday from 8 to 10 p.m.
Falling upstream means the segment of the petroleum value chain involving exploration, development, and production. This we propose to be incorporated in the bill. Furthermore, observation, Honorable Chair, that the mover of the bill will concur that the following terms are not adequately defined in the bill: financial year, government, local content, petroleum activities, petroleum data, petroleum resources, petroleum reserves, reconnaissance exploration. Yes, so we did agree for these terms to be adequately defined. And there are are now to be incorporated in the bill that we have before us. We're going to propose their incorporation. Honorable Chair, if you look at the original bill, you will see the definitions that they incorporate, and we are now proposing the fully that when it comes to the definition of petroleum activities, petroleum data, we would want the members to go into the incorporated version of the bill. And I hope that is in the hands of the members, the incorporated version. So if you... Yes. It was originally circulated, but it was not very tidy. But we decided that this is the best way to tidy it up. And I don't know whether it's necessary for the Chair to go and read all of it. But if you should desire, I will whatever you have. What do you propose, Honorable Chair? Do we just say that these terms that I have mentioned, financially, government, local content, petroleum activities, petroleum data, petroleum resources, petroleum reserves, reconnaissance exploration, as defined in the incorporated version, to be adopted as part of the bill? Or would you want me to read each of the terms and the definition given to them and the comparison with the original bill? What would you propose, Honorable Chair? Yes. I'll just give you an example, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chair. If we look at government in the original bill, its government means the government of the Republic of the Gambia. But when it comes to the incorporated version that we are proposing, government means the executive government of the Gambia, because this is what is in the Constitution. So these are the type of amendments that are actually that are being proposed. So we can go and look at the issue of local content as it was defined under the bill that was originally presented to us. Local content means the use of Gambian human, material resources, services and businesses for the systematic development of national capacity and capabilities for the enhancement of the Gambian economy. Now, local content means the promotion of indigenization of petroleum activities, use of Gambian human and material resources, services and businesses for the systematic development of the national capacity and capabilities for the benefit of the Gambian people and the enhancement of the Gambian economy. I guess let me just go ahead and go on.
Gamsobis in focus with Khalilu Banjang every Saturday from 8 to 10 p.m.
You want to know about the Gambia entertainment industry. You want to know the existing policies and programs of the arts and culture sector. You want to know about the governance and management of the arts associations. The program will throw a fresh light on the entertainment industry in focus. We will touch so many angles about the cultural sector, the opportunities and challenges, and interrogate them, and most importantly, offer solutions.
If you want to receive monies from UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland and the rest of the world, Supersonic's money transfer has got you covered. With the largest payout network in the Gambia, you can now receive your monies anywhere you are, from Kartong to Koina, with less hassle. Yes! You can receive monies from your family and friends in UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland and the rest of the world with our safe, secure, fast and convenient service that offers you the largest selection of payout locations. Money transfer has got you covered. With the largest payout network in the Gambia, you can now receive your monies anywhere you are, from
proceed without reading the mind of the assembly. So it is proposed, therefore, that the terms that were absent, that is licensee, midstream, Petroleum Act, upstream, and the terms that were inadequately defined, financial year, government, local content, petroleum activities, petroleum data, petroleum resources, petroleum reserves, reconnaissance exploration, as incorporated in the final version stand as part of it. It is so proposed, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, it is proposed that clause 2, interpretation, stand part of the bill as amended and indicated by the chair, co-chair of the committee. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. So clause 2, yes. You said something? Yeah, but that's it. I understand it's taken care of by local content or should be defined. Sorry. Just, okay, honorable member.
Yes.
Something, the proposal, it was sent to the clerk, what it says is local content fund should be defined.
Yes, that's right.
Honorable Chair, do you have any reaction to that? That local content fund should be defined.
That is an input, even though local content is clearly defined.
On page 8 of the new page 8 from J. One is paid to the local content fund.
Money is paid to the local content fund.
Yes, and we are not sure what
local content fund.
Yes, it's not sure.
Taking notes. We get the view of the local, of the minister on that.
Thank you.
Yes, it is so easy to define that line, but I think just the full amount that we are using for development. So I don't know whether we need to define it. The whole content will have to be anyway. So I don't have any capacity to define it here.
Yes,
Yes, the reason why I'm asking for that is that yes, the reason why I'm asking for that is because you know this is a very complicated sector, and it looks like the funds that are meant for the sector, it looks like not all is going to the commission. Some belong to the NPC, some belong to the government of the country, and some may belong to I suppose the local content whatever fund. So we need to be very clear on what this fund is about. If the commission is going to put a particular fund from the money they receive, they put it on the side for a particular purpose, then that is very clear. We create a local content fund for or to do A, B, C, or D. I think that's very clear. That's what I'm asking for. The local content fund must be very clear. What is that fund about? And because if you look at here, it's like the commission will oversee the local content fund. What is this fund about? Where is it going to come from? How much is it going to be from the license?
Well, we can take that into consideration. Essentially, it defines what local content is and the promotion of the indigenization of petroleum activities, use of Gambian human and material resources, services and businesses, for the systematic development of national capacity, which means that essentially the fund is established to promote precisely that. But the minister, if he has no more views to express, will just incorporate that in the definition. Is there a concrete proposal from the member? If not, has that been submitted?
Well, no.
It should be submitted. If there is any amendment that the member wishes to make, maybe before the end of the review, it should be submitted. We can suspend that particular provision in the local content fund, so the interpretation can be suspended to wait for the local content and we go to the next stage. And before we finish it, maybe that can be taken into consideration, and the drafters could also look at that element, and the minister may come in thereafter. To make progress, we can suspend it.
Yes, I will come to the suspension, but let me just take Ilyasa. Honorable for Ilyasa.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Speaker, just, if you look closely at this Petroleum Amendment Bill, is it 2031 or 2010?
It's 2021.
Look closely, look like closely. It's 2010.
Well, ignore that version. That's why we changed the version. We have the new version. Do you have the new copy?
Yeah, I have to get the new copy.
The new version, the revised
The
version.
new version of the sorry,
Yes. No, what I'm going to say is,
I am suggesting, or I want to suggest, I am in agreement with the suspension. But just to move forward, you can liaise with the committee and the draftsman at the office of the removal of the control, so that you can have a good draft and then do some of it. Of course, we have to liaise with them. Before the third reading, we get something that is agreeable to the committee, and of course it will be submitted equally to other members for them to have a meeting before the third reading. Instead of coming back to it, maybe, I don't know whether it will be a position of the I don't know whether the draft sources are here, but we just anyway. They have time to meet and they can grab something. Nowadays, they are finishing, they have something. I'm just thinking of a scenario when they will not
Honorable Chair, we are only entertaining this because something has been submitted for consideration. But if nothing is submitted, then we should just proceed, and after the bill, we can come up with amendments later, because it's not a substantive issue at the moment, because subsidiary legislation will come and define more things. But since the member has submitted, yes, that's why I'm saying, Honorable, that the member can only intervene by submitting amendments. If no amendment is submitted, it's just a proposal, then we should proceed on a normal circumstance.
That is exactly what we are doing.
Then let's proceed.
It's going to be suspended according to you. Now, we all agree with the suspension, but that should not stop them from putting down any proposed amendment.
Yeah, before the end of the review. That's what I'm saying. That they have up to the end of the review. Otherwise, we put that aside and proceed with the next thing. Thank you.
On the same, notwithstanding, I think if in as much as they have not done a formal drafting amendment, I think it is worth looking at. There is no harm. As we did for the objects and clauses, we allow them to work together and come up with something that we can work with before the third reading. Let's proceed, please.
Thank you. Clause 3, establishment of the Petroleum Commission.
Yes.
It is proposed that clause 3, establishment of the Petroleum Commission, stand
Honorable Chair, we did review it, and the consideration of the committee is that there is no valid opinion that we saw that indicated that there should be amendment to this particular clause. So it is proposed that clause 3 without amendment stands as part of it. Without amendment.
So it is proposed that clause 3, establishment of the Petroleum Commission, stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. So clause 3, establishment of the Petroleum Commission, now stand part of the bill. Yes,
Thank you. Clause 4, objectives of the Commission.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 4, objectives of the Commission, stand part of the bill. Chair?
Three just observation. The committee considered the objectives and observed that the Commission should focus on its key function of monitoring and regulating petroleum activities in the upstream and midstream sectors aimed at enhancing sustainable socio-economic development in the country and safeguarding local content by ensuring compliance with the Act, regulations, the licenses, permits, and related policies. If we look at the original bill, we can clearly detect the lapses that the committee sought to address. Because the original would indicate that the objectives of the Commission C include implement the policies for the sustainable development of the petroleum sector. And this is what the committee sought to amend, and the amendment is in the incorporated version, and it now reads, ensure compliance with policies and laws for the petroleum sector. That is what is part of the objects and reasons, and we added D, that's promote local content. So it is proposed that clause 4, as amended in the incorporated version, stands found in it.
Thank you. It is in the absence of any concrete proposal has not been given. It is proposed that clause 4, objectives of the Commission, stand part of the bill as amended. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. So it is proposed that clause 4, objectives of the Commission as amended stand part of the bill.
Thank you. Clause 5, functions of the Commission.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, it is proposed that clause 5, functions of the Commission, stand part of the bill. Honorable members, we are introducing the notice. Honorable member, please. Next, please, honorable members, this time can speak in the video. By honorable member Osalu, proposing an amendment to clause 5 to read, that is James, to read, administer monies paid to the local content fund until an act of parliament comes into force. That is what he is proposing on that. This reference is to page 8 of the incorporated amendments. G. Administer monies paid to the local content fund until an act of parliament comes into force. So this is the addition. An act of parliament comes into force. That's the only. Are we interested in anything else on the 5? No. Yes, that's the only thing that we have received on the 5. Secretary,
thank you. No, the proposal made by honorable member of Yes, honorable, what you are proposing? What of now if there are more monies paid before the act comes into being? Now, you said the one that you have filed. Now, what if there are monies that are raised before the act? Who knows when the act is coming?
I think that's for the chair, the committee, and the parliament. Okay, let's take the observations. Yaniga.
Yes,
please, who is? I'm taking Yaniga. I've seen them. Yaniga.
Yes, when you make when you put into question, I think we should allow the co-chair to lead us what the committee has before having other members. No, he not said anything on clause 5.
It's better if we take the observations up to our side, and then the committee chair will come on board. What do you think? You take from A, he responds. You take from B, it may be the same. We take everything on the 5, then you will be in a better position to respond.
Well, first, Honorable Chair, if the committee pronounces whether it sees any amendment, and then if the committee has no amendment, and any member has amendment of
clause needed. It's not here.
Yes.
Until it comes into force.
No,
it is not here. That is the reason why it's right now.
No, we are agreeing. We are saying what the member is proposing is that once you say that it is proposed that it stands part of the bill, then the mover would be able to intervene and then we'll vote. So, and the committee is acting on behalf of the mover in this instance because we have a consolidated version. So we'll just quickly say that we really don't see any need for an amendment, and now we can then proceed with the amendment proposed to simplify matters. You can go ahead.
I think we are on track.
It's just procedural.
There's only list.
Yes, yeah. What I think is to do is to allow the mover of that motion to explain himself what he actually meant by until. Yes, an act of violence. Because that's not clear. Let him explain so that we understand what he wants to propose.
I think I would do that we proceed. Anybody, we have not received anything other than the notice form. Other than the for silence under clause 5, and it has been responded.
Gamsobis in focus with Kalilu Banjang every Saturday from 8 to 10 p.m.
You want to know about the Gambia entertainment industry. You want to know the existing policies and programs of the arts and culture sector. You want to know about the governance and management of the arts associations. The program will throw a fresh light on the entertainment industry in focus. We will touch so many angles about the cultural sector, the opportunities and challenges, and interrogate them, and most importantly, offer solutions.
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Clause 4, repeal of section 70.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 4, repeal of section 17 of the bill, stand part of the bill. Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, clause 4, repeal of section 70. Reads, section 17 of this act is repealed. Observation. The witnesses are in support of the repeal of section 70. The recommendation of the committee is therefore for section 70 to be repealed as proposed in the amendment bill without amendment.
Of any proposed amendment. So it is proposed that clause 4, repeal of section 17 of the bill, stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. And clause 4, repeal of section 17 of the bill now stands part of the bill. Thank you.
For the words section 16 and 17, which was section 16. Section 18 was agreed by the witnesses to be deleted as proposed in the amendment bill. The committee therefore recommends for the amendment of section 18 as proposed by the amendment bill without amendment.
Amendment of section 18 stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it, and the clause is now proposed that clause 5, amendment of section 18 of the bill now stands part of the bill.
Clause 6. Repeal and replacement of Section 19.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that Clause 6, repeal and replacement of Section 19 of the bill, stand part of the bill.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, Clause 6, repeal and replacement of Section 19 states. Section 19 is repealed and replaced as follows. 19.1. Where a child is born to parents who are not married and himself to be the father of the child, the registrar or deputy registrar shall not enter in the register the name of that person unless a paternity order is support the repeal and replacement of Section 19 of Section 1. It is also proposed that the registrar or deputy registrar can seek for paternity order from the children's court in the case where the father is refusing to acknowledge himself as the father of the child. Recommendation of the committee. Having reviewed the agreements, the committee recommends for the repeal and replacement of Section 19. It further recommends for the insertion of the new provision of Section 19 to read. That is the above. So the committee therefore recommends for clause 6 to stand part of the bill with amendment.
So it is proposed that Clause 6, repeal and replacement of Section 19, stand part of the bill. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. And Clause 6 is proposed that Clause 6, repeal and replacement of Section 19, now stand part of the bill as amended. Thank you. Chair, are we following the same procedure with regards to the objects and prisons?
Yes. Honorable Chair, we did receive a recounted draft of which we included in the
For the third reading.
yes.
So we take it that for the births, deaths, and marriages registration amendment in 2020, you have redrafted three sections, 16 and also 19. Sorry, the objects and prisons. Before the third reading.
Short title: Domestic Violence Amendment Bill 2020.
It is proposed that Clause 1, short title, Domestic Violence Amendment Act 2020, stand part of the bill. Chair of the committee,
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. May I refer this committee to page 7 of the report of the committee, that is on the conclusion and the recommendations it made with regards to domestic violence amendment bill 2020. Clause 1, Honorable Chair, the short title, which states, this act may be cited as Domestic Violence Amendment Act 2020. The result of and conclusion of the committee observed that the witnesses are in agreement with Clause 1 on the short title of the bill. The committee therefore recommends for Clause 1 on the short title to stand part of the bill with amendment that is with regard to the year.
again, we are not in receipt of any notices with regards to amendments. So it is proposed that Clause 1, short title, Act Domestic Violence Amendment Act 2020, stand part of the bill as with amendments. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Clause 1, short title, the Domestic Violence Amendment Act 2020 now stands part of the bill as amended.
Clause 2, Amendment of the Domestic Violence Act 2013.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that Clause 2, Amendment of the Domestic Violence Act 2013, stand part of the bill. Please.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, Clause 2, Amendment of the Domestic Violence Act 2013 reads, the Domestic Violence Act in this act referred to as the Principal Act is amended as set out in this act. Observation and conclusion of the committee. The committee observes that the witnesses are in agreement with Clause 2 to start part of the bill. The committee therefore recommends that Clause 2 start part of the bill without amendment.
We are not in receipt of any proposed amendment, and therefore it is proposed that Clause 2, Amendment of the Domestic Violence Act 2013, stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it, and Clause 2, Amendment of the Domestic Violence Act 2013, stand part of the Assembly. Is it not amended? Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I will have to read it. I thought it was I must have been reading something else. Sorry. It is proposed that Clause 2, Amendment of the Domestic Violence Act 2013, now stand part of the bill.
Thank you. Clause 3, Amendment of Section 36.
It is proposed that Clause 3, Amendment of Section 36, stand part of the bill.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, Clause 3, Amendment of Section 36 states, Principal Act is amended as amended in subsection 2 of the subsection 36 by inserting a new paragraph D as follows. Quote D. Ensure that the rights of the complainant are not prejudiced by an out-of-court settlement. Observation, conclusion. The committee observes that the witnesses are in support of the amendment. The committee recommends for the proposed amendment to start part of the Domestic Violence Amendment Bill 2021 without amendment.
No proposed amendment. So it is proposed that Clause 3, Amendment of Section 36, stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. The Clause 3, Amendment of Section 36, now stand part of the bill. Thank you. Same with the... Before the third.
Short title, Skin Bleaching Prohibition of the Bill 2020.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that Clause 1, short title, the Skin Bleaching Prohibition of Bill Act of 2020, stand part of the bill.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
We are in receipt of all it says here. I still maintain that skin bleaching should not be repealed. Such an honorable member for India. That's all it says. No proposed amendment. So just a second. Let me. Yes, I propose that this act be maintained. Honorable Member, Honorable Member Sanu, I propose that the clause remain as it is. Which clause? Okay? Yes, when you say clause, because we have clause 1.
No, let them wait for the vote. Let them wait for the vote. I said that. Yes.
Since there are substantive amendments, proposals, how we send we can vote against it.
Well, what is standing for the requirement is if you have a proposal to amend, you will go to the other one. You may continue to jump out and vote against it, or you vote for it. But you say that you want to.
Everybody will be recorded. In the absence of substantive proposals, can we proceed?
To the subtitle, this act may be cited as distinguishing prohibition repeal act 2020. Repeal. That's the first one. Okay, and there are two clauses. Clause 1. Okay, clause 1. The committee recommends that clause 1 start part of the bill with amendment 2021. This act will be cited as distinguishing prohibition repeal act 2021.
Thank you. It is proposed that clause 1, short title, Scheme Deletion Contribution Repeal Act 2020, stand part of the bill with amendments. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no.
No.
Now, can we take a vote? Okay, let's take a vote. What do you take? So, please, table office, can you have so that we can get there? This is about the short title. It is about the short title. Those in favor of the title, please say yes. Sorry, please say aye.
Point of observation. So what we are voting is either to put 2020 there, late 2020, or to put 2021. Is that honorable Chair? Just look at the essence of the vote. What is there is 2020. What is being proposed is we put 2021. So are we going to refuse 2021 to be put there? And leave 2020?
Refusal is not mine. I will not want to let it be on the record. Refusal is not mine from the chair. My role is to
always.
you can refer your question. Reality or otherwise.
Ini saya kong Iris ini saya.
The procedure is there is a proposal for clause 1 to stand part of the bill as amended.
2020 or 2020?
Yes. Are you agreeable or not? No.
It's not clear. Yes or no? Yes.
Those in favor, can you praise? Can you please? Those in favor, can you please praise your hands?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, clause 2, repeal of Cap 1308 reads, the Scheme Placing Prohibition Act Cap 1308 was of the 2009 is repealed. The committee The Select Committee recommends for the objects and the Select Committee recommends for the repeal of Cap 1308, that is the Scheme Placing Prohibition Act Cap 1308, not of the Gambia, to be repealed from the laws of the Gambia. The committee recommends for the repeal of this of Cap 1308 from the statutes.
So now, honorable members, it is proposed that clause 2. Yes, is everyone one meeting honorable candidate? Honorable member for Buchanan. So, we easily get distracted. Please, can we have one meeting? It is proposed that clause 2, repeal of Cap 1308 of the bill, stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no.
No.
Can we take the votes? Those in favor? Yes, but please, those in favor, can we advertise, or please? Those in favor? Members, the ABC has scheduled the third reading of the bills for Monday, 29th of March 2021. But before that date, the Attorney General's Office and the Office of the Clerk, in accordance with Standing Order 7220, should have the said bills reprinted in amended versions printed for circulation to all of the members before the third reading. Honorable Member of Chair, please, Chair for the committee, so that all the amendments will be captured and the assembly.
No, because what I have seen, what I was seeing is the members that have been present, already doing the let me go. Come on, don't say I'm not president. You have your vote, I have my vote. No. Yeah, because you know why? When you just come, because you don't clear like this.
Person in charge of the bills to report to the Assembly what transpired during the committee stage of the following bills. 1. Regarding Nationality and Citizenship Amendment Bill 2020, the Births, Deaths and Marriages Registration Amendment Bill 2020, Domestic Violence Amendment Bill 2020, and the Skin Bleaching Prohibition Repeal Bill 2020. Honorable Attorney General, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I inform the House Assembly that the Gambia Nationality and Citizens Amendment Bill 2020, the Birth, Death and Marriages Registration Amendment Bill 2020, Domestic Violence Amendment Bill 2020, and the Skin Bleaching Prohibition Bill of 2020, all went through the committee stage and consideration stage. And some amendments and consideration will be introduced and allowed for the Cabinet.
Thank you very much, Honorable Attorney General, and also thank you, Honorable Members. Honorable Members, as communicated earlier on, consideration stage. Third reading of the bills, that is the Gambia Nationality and Citizenship Amendment Bill 2020, Births, Deaths and Marriages Legislation Amendment Bill 2020, the Domestic Violence Amendment Bill 2020, and the Skin Bleaching Prohibition Repeal Bill 2020 are now scheduled for Monday the 29th of March 2021 for the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice to move forward for the third reading. However, before that date, the Attorney General's office is hereby called to comply with Standing Order 7220 to ensure that all the amended versions are prepared and circulated to enrollment members well in advance. Thank you very much. Honorable Attorney General, thank you very much for the announcements. Can we proceed with the next?
Thank you. With reference to Standing Order 72, consideration state of the Petroleum Commission Bill 2020 by the Honorable Minister for Petroleum and Energy.
Thank you very much. Honorable members will equally recall that the Joint Committee on the Public Enterprises Committee and the Environment, Sustainable Development and NGO Affairs reported on the bill committee today. That is the Petroleum Commission Bill of 2020. The report of the Joint Committee was adopted at plenary, and accordingly the consideration stage for the bill is scheduled for today. And during the consideration stage, honorable members will have the opportunity to give detailed consideration and scrutiny to every clause and schedule contained in the bill, of course being guided by clause 72 of the Standing Orders. And the consideration stage equally provides an opportunity for amendment to the bill to be debated and voted upon. I will therefore now resolve the Assembly in the Committee of the whole Assembly to give consideration to the bill, that is the Petroleum Commission Bill 2020. Thank you very much. The Assembly now resolves to the Committee of the whole Assembly. Now is also coming from the Assembly. And I believe we all have the Petroleum Commission bill with us, and also the report of the Commission of Joint Committee, Environment and Health. Are we all together? Yes.
2020. Part 1, Preliminary.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that Part 1, preliminary, sand. Before I do that, I want to ask, why are we doing this proposal? The Assembly will now go to the committee of the whole Assembly to consider the Petroleum Commission bill. Are we going clause by clause, page by page, or fact by fact? But of course, we will also be guided by the committee's report. So are we going clause by clause?
We're going clause by clause.
Clause by clause. Thank you very much. Environment, we're together. Okay, thank you. It is proposed that clause 1 is part 1, preliminary, subtitle, stand, part of the bill. Who's giving us?
Honorable, we would want to propose amendments. Amendments as per the committee's observation. We have the joint committee of environment and public enterprise. And I will be stepping in on behalf of the two committees, or the joint committee. Members should go to the report that we've adopted. And the first clause deals with the short title. Yes, my page is different from everybody's page because of my writing. Could you environmental page 11 of the standard form of the report, page 11. No, sorry, I said there is a standard form and then my own form goes on the side. Page 11. We've seen that in terms of the bill presented to us, the short title actually indicates that this act may be cited as the Petroleum Commission Act 2020. We are saying that the amendment should read, this act may be cited as Petroleum Commission Act 2021. We therefore propose that that stands as part of the bill.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, it is proposed that clause 1, short title of the bill, stand part of the bill.
Honorable Chair, we do have some observations and a proposal. The bill, as presented to us, was reviewed by the Joint Committee. And our observation is thus. We received evidence and mapped the absence of the following key concepts connected to petroleum activities under the interpretation clause in the bill. That is licensee, midstream, Petroleum Act, upstream. One will see that the original bill presented does not have the interpretation of these four elements. We are now proposing that they be incorporated in the bill. And licensee will now be defined to mean a person who has entered into a license with the Minister under the Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production Act 2003. In terms of midstream means the segment of the petroleum value chain comprising the processing, storing, transporting, and marketing of petroleum. Petroleum Act means Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production Act 2004, Chapter 65.02, Volume 10 of the Laws of the Gambia, as amended or repealed and or suspended or superseded by another legislative act from time to time. 4, we are also calling upstream means the segment of the petroleum value chain involving exploration, development, and production. This we propose to be incorporated in the bill. Furthermore, observation, Honorable Chair, that the mover of the bill will concur that the following terms are not adequately defined in the bill: financial year, government, local content, petroleum activities, petroleum data, petroleum resources, petroleum reserves, reconnaissance exploration. Yes, so we did agree for these terms to be adequately defined, and they are now to be incorporated in the bill that we have before us. We're going to propose their incorporation. Honorable Chair, if you look at the original bill, you will see the definitions that they incorporate, and we are now proposing the fully that when it comes to the definition of petroleum activities, petroleum data, we would want the members to go into the incorporated version of the bill. And I hope that is in the hands of the members, the incorporated version. So if you...
That's the one that
yes. It was originally circulated, but it was not very tidy. But we decided that this is the best way to tidy it up. And I don't know whether it's necessary, Honorable Chair, to go and read all of it. But if you should desire, I hope what it has been. What do you propose, Honorable Chair? Do we just say that these terms that I've mentioned, financially, government, local content, petroleum activities, petroleum data, petroleum resources, petroleum reserves, reconnaissance exploration, as defined in the incorporated version, to be adopted as part of the bill? Or would you want me to read each of the terms and the definition given to them, and the comparison with the original bill? What would you propose, Honorable Chair? Yes. I'll just give you an example, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chair. If we look at government in the original bill, its government means the government of the Republic of the Gambia. But when it comes to the incorporated version that we are proposing, government means the executive government of the Gambia, because this is what is in the Constitution. So these are the type of amendments that are actually that are being proposed. So we can go and look at the issue of local content as it was defined on the bill that was originally presented to us. Local content means the use of Gambian human, material resources, services and businesses for the systematic development of national capacity and capabilities for the enhancement of the Gambian economy. Now, local content means the promotion of indigenization of petroleum activities, use of Gambian human and material resources, services and businesses for the systematic development of the national capacity and capabilities for the benefit of the Gambian people and enhancement of the Gambian economy. I guess let me just go ahead and go on.
Yes, I wanted to suggest that he just mentioned, because we have had the first report, we have had the draft bill, we have had, here we are having the written one. And the committee suggestion is clear. If unless they have an issue, we let it just mention,
I share the same opinion. Yeah.
As when it arises, in case there are issues, we stop and then ask for clarification.
Yes, we thank them for that. We also thought the same, but we will not proceed without reading the mind of the Assembly. So it is proposed, therefore, that the terms that were absent, that is licensee, midstream, petroleum act, upstream, and the terms that were inadequately defined, financial year, government, local content, petroleum activities, petroleum data, petroleum resources, petroleum reserves, reconnaissance exploration, as incorporated in the final version stand as part of the bill. It is so proposed, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, it is proposed that clause 2, interpretation, stand part of the bill as amended and indicated by the chair, co-chair of the committee. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. So clause 2, yes. You said something? Yeah, but let's see. I understand it's taking care of by local content form should be defined. Sorry. Just okay. Honorable member.
Yes.
Something. The proposal. It was sent to the judge. What it says is local content fund should be defined.
Yes, that's right.
Honorable Chair, do you have any reaction to that? That local content fund should be defined.
That is an input, even though local content is clearly defined.
On page 8 of the new page 8 on J. And then the money is paid to the local content fund.
Money is paid to the local content fund.
Yes, and we are not sure.
Local content fund.
Yes, it's not sure.
Taking notes. We get the view of the local, of the minister on that.
Thank you.
define guidelines, but that may just be full of knowledge for their people for development. So I don't know whether we need to define it. The whole content will have to change anyway. So I don't have any what they define it yet.
Yes.
Yes, the reason why I'm asking for that is that yes, the reason why I'm asking for that is because this is a very complicated sector, and it looks like the funds that are meant for the sector, it looks like not all is going to the Commission. Some belong to the NPC, some belong to the government of the Gambia, and some may belong to, I suppose, the local control whatever fund. So we need to be very clear on what this fund is about. If the Commission is going to put a particular fund from the money they receive, they put it on the side for a particular purpose, then that is very clear. We create a local content fund for how to do A, B, C, or D. I think that's very clear. That's what I'm asking for. The local content fund must be very clear. What is that fund about? And because if you look at here, it's like the Commission will oversee the local content fund. What is this fund about? Where is it going to come from? How much is it going to be from the license?
Well, we can take that into consideration. Essentially, it defines what local content is and the promotion of the indigenization of petroleum activities, use of Gambian human and material resources, services and businesses, for the systematic development of national capacity, which means that essentially the fund is established to promote precisely that. But the minister, if he has no more views to express, will just incorporate that in the definition. Is there a concrete proposal from the member? If not, has that been submitted?
Well, no.
It should be submitted. If there is any amendment that the member wishes to make, maybe before the end of the review, it should be submitted. We can suspend that particular provision in the local content fund, so the interpretation can be suspended to wait for the local content and we go to the next stage. And before we finish it, maybe that can be taken into consideration, and the drafters would also look at that element, and the minister may come in thereafter. To make progress, we can suspend it.
Yes, I will come to the suspension, but let me just take Ilyasa. But remember for Ilyasa.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Speaker, yes, sir. If you look closely at this Petroleum Amendment Bill, is it 2031 or 2010?
It's 2021.
This process, you like the process, it's 2021-10.
Well, ignore that version. That's why we changed the version. Do you have the new version? Do you have the new copy?
Yeah, I have to get that new copy.
The new version, the revised version.
The new version. Sorry,
yes. No, what I'm saying is
I am suggesting, or I want to suggest, I am in agreement with the suspension. But just to move forward, you can liaise with the committee and the draftsman at the office of the Attorney General and the removal of the control, so that you can have a good draft and then do some of it. Of course, we have to liaise with them. Before the third reading, we get something that is agreeable to the committee, and of course it will be submitted equally to honorable members of then how we will do it before the third reading. Instead of coming back to it, maybe I don't know whether it will be the position of the I don't know whether the gas sources are here, but just like anyway. They have time to eat and they can grab something. Nowadays, that we finish, they have something. I'm just thinking of a scenario when they will not
Honorable Chair, we are only entertaining this because something has been submitted for consideration. But if nothing is submitted, then we should just proceed, and after the bill, we can come up with amendments later, because it's not a substantive issue at the moment, because subsidiary legislation will come and define more things. But since the member has submitted, yes, that's why I'm saying, Honorable, that the member can only intervene by submitting amendments. If no amendment is submitted, it's just a proposal, then we should proceed on a normal circumstance. Then let's proceed.
Suspended according to you. Now, we all agree with the suspension, but that should not stop them from without any proposed amendment.
Yeah, before the end of the review. That's what I'm saying. That they have up to the end of the review. Otherwise, we put that aside and proceed with the next thing. Thank you.
On the same, notwithstanding, I think if in as much as they have done a formal drafting amendment, I think it is worth looking at. There's no harm. And we did for the objects and clauses, we allow them to work together and come up with something that we can work with before the time we let's proceed, please.
Thank you. Clause 3, establishment of the Petroleum Commission.
Yes.
It is proposed that clause 3, establishment of the Petroleum Commission, stand
Honorable Chair, we did review it, and the consideration of the committee is that there is no valid opinion that we saw that indicated that there should be amendment to this particular clause. So it is proposed that clause 3 without amendment stands as part of it. Without amendment.
So it is proposed that clause 3, establishment of the Petroleum Commission, stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. So clause 3, establishment of the Petroleum Commission, now stand part of the bill.
Thank you. Clause 4, objectives of the Commission.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 4, objectives of the Commission, stand part of the bill. Chair?
Three just observation. The committee considered the objectives and observed that the Commission should focus on its key function of monitoring and regulating petroleum activities in the upstream and midstream sectors, aimed at enhancing sustainable socio-economic development in the country and safeguarding local content by ensuring compliance with the Act, regulations, licenses, permits, and related policies. If we look at the original bill, we can clearly detect the lapses that the committee sought to address. Because the original would indicate that the objectives of the Commission include implement the policies for the sustainable development of the petroleum sector. And this is what the committee sought to amend. And the amendment is in the incorporated version, and it now reads, ensure compliance with policies and laws for the petroleum sector. That is what is part of the objects and reasons, and we added D, that's promote local content. So it is proposed that clause 4, as amended in the incorporated version, stand as part of the bill.
Thank you. It is in the absence of any concrete proposal has not been given. It is proposed that clause 4, objectives of the Commission, stand part of the bill as amended. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. So it is proposed that clause 4, objectives of the Commission as amended stand part of the bill.
Thank you. Clause 5, functions of the Commission.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, it is proposed that clause 5, functions of the Commission, stand part of the bill. Honorable members, we are introducing the notice. Honorable member for please. Please, honorable members, next time that meeting to give you by honorable member for Osali, proposing an amendment to clause 5 to read, that is J, to read, administer monies paid to the local content fund until an act of Parliament comes in force. That is what he is proposing on the this reference is to page 8 of the incorporated amendments. J. Administer monies paid to the local content fund until an act of Parliament comes into force. So it's the addition. An act of Parliament comes into force. That's the only. Are we interested in anything else on the 5? No. Yeah, that's the only thing that we have received on the 5. Second by you.
Thank you. No, the proposal made by Honorable Member of Yes, Honorable, what you are proposing? What of now if there are more monies paid before the act comes into being? Now, you said the one that you are filing. Now, what if there are monies that are raised before the act? Who knows when the act is coming?
I think that's for the chair, the committee, and the parliament minister. Let's take the observations. Yaniga.
Yes,
please, who is? I'm taking Yaniga. I was sitting there. Yaniga.
Yes, when you make when you put in the question, I think we should allow the co-chair to lead us what the committee has before having other members. No, he not said anything on clause 5.
It's better if we take the observations on clause 5 and then the committee member chair will come on board. What do you think? You take from A, in response. You take from B, it may be the same. We take everything on the 5, then you will be in a better position to respond.
Well, first, Honorable Chair, if the committee pronounces whether it sees any amendment, and then if the committee has no amendment, and any member has amendment to propose, then they can come in.
The amendment that he has submitted is not here.
Yes,
Until an act of Parliament comes into force.
No,
it is not here. That is the reason seem like it's right now.
No, we are agreeing. We are saying what the member is proposing is that once you say that it is proposed that it stands part of the bill, then the mover would be able to intervene and then they'll follow. So, and the committee is acting on behalf of the mover in this instance because we have a consolidated version. So we'll just quickly say that we really don't see any need for an amendment, and now we can then proceed with the amendment proposed to simplify matters. You can go ahead.
I think we are on track.
And it's just procedural, let's
there's only this.
Yes, yeah. What I think is to do is to allow the mover of that motion to explain himself what he actually meant by continuing. Yes, an act of parliament. Because that's not clear. Let him explain so that we can understand what he wants to propose.
I think I will do that we proceed. Anybody, we have not received anything other than the notice form. Other than the member for silence on the cross side, and it has been responded to by the chair of the committee leading the assembly to the report. So in that case, I think we can proceed. No, it's not for the other member for bullying the school. They have to proceed. Tell us how to proceed. Definitely not. Honorable member for Upper Salon has submitted a proposal. The addition to the amendment here is to add an act of parliament comes into force. That's what he has proposed. In addition.
I don't understand.
No. If you don't want to get in chair.
Okay, we can clarify.
Yes.
So essentially, I do not see the relevance really, because it is simply establishing the law as it is. The law in the future will of course impact, on any other legislation. And if you go to the 27, it talks about if any act is inconsistent with this particular legislation, then what actually happens. All that is already defined elsewhere. So I do not see the relevance of really mentioning that.
Before the chair, I would want to Honorable Minister to comment on the proposal made by Honorable Member for Oversight.
Yes, actually my reaction would have been to say because the end that comes after this, we never test result of our management. So to me it's taking that this is the local content form, and then of course I appreciate the approving police whatever, so that will take result of whatever. So I think I have the same view with the chair. So to me, I don't think we need to do any addition. That's my opinion. So
yes. What I'm trying to be sure is, if a few months down the line or a few years down the line, we have a local content bill that actually defines the way this is to be handled. Are we saying that that bill will take precedence over this? Because this is very open. It just says administer monies paid to the local content fund, full stop. So are we saying that if another act of parliament comes into play, like local content act, for example, then this one will no longer be valid? Is that what the minister is saying, or is that what the chair is saying?
Well, if another law is made, that law can actually have a provision which says that law, what it says, will have an overriding matter over this particular act. That's what you are the lawmakers. When you make a new law, you dictate what the new law will say. It's the law that will dictate what will happen. But that law is yet to be made. So you cannot be presumptive about the law and what the law is going to do. But what you intend to do, make it a law. Then it overrides. I'm saying, if you come up with a local content law, which says that law overrides over any other law, that is what is going to stand. The law you're going to make in the future, you can have a particular provision of that law that says that that law supersedes whatever law exists. It is for you to make the law. But you cannot presume the law.
No, I think the matter is very clear and straightforward. Meanwhile, the Commission takes that responsibility. And the act we are talking about, when the need is to have the act, means that automatically oversee, override this other one. So, there is no problem.
Sometimes you have to allow the statements so that everything will be clear. But if you want to therefore stop people from seeking for further clarification, it doesn't have to. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we are all together, all close 5 functions of the Commission. Now, it is proposed that clause 5, functions of the Commission, stand part of the bill. As amended, Honorable Chair.
Without amendment. Without amendment.
Without amendment. Sorry, my assistant. Let's not be speaking a different language. The amendment would have come into effect if we had accepted this. Thank you. So it is proposed that clause 5 functions of the Commission stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. For clause 5, functions of the Commission now stand part of the bill. Thank you. Can you proceed?
Clause 6, establishment of the board of the Commission.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 6, establishment of the board of the Commission, stand part of the bill.
Honorable Chair, as originally put before us, the Petroleum Commission bill did establish the governing board of the Commission as the chairperson, the Director General, an environmental specialist, a geoscientist, a legal practitioner, permanent secretary, and one other person. The committee did consider the evidence given by the different institutions and considered also the proposals made. We eventually accepted that the President may take note of the proposal of the GCCI to have one member nominated by them to be the one other person, or the cautionary remarks made by some of the specialists in appointing that one other member so that there be that gender balance, but at the same time there will also be a consideration of not selecting people whose responsibilities may prejudice their performance as member of the Commission. So in that regard, we have come up with a proposal to amend the provision that talks about the environmental specialists. We include a social and environmental specialist. That is the amendment proposed to be incorporated as part of the bill.
That's language. It's like amendment. There, but it's language. Can I write and read it?
You are the chair of the standing orders.
We'll give you 1 minute.
Since it's a matter of language, we can proceed with that.
Yes, of course.
Chair, why take it that it is G, sorry,
A C, which is proposed.
C, that's what I thought.
Yes, with addition to solely.
Yes. Let's just allow this.
Who seconded that?
Doesn't appear to be substantive amendment, but the language to be processed.
Well, I think this comprised of, we should change off. Anyway, I don't know how that is. There should be no comprised of. Drafter, I think the off was not originally there. So it should be not.
Same issue that the chair has raised, the off. Use of the word off.
Okay, well, that one you can know. You are right. It was not
So we can proceed that it is proposed that clause 6, establishment of the board of the commission, stand part of the bill with amendments. But sorry, before we take, I think the honorable minister wants to come. Before it was my issue, I can allow you.
Yeah, 3, 6, 3. Yeah, they increase the appointed members of the board. The president shall have the right to gender disabilities. Yes, that's agreement.
Yes, well, that is already incorporating what is already there anyway. Maybe it is renumbered 2 to 3. Honorable Minister, then we are saying 2, the change in terms of the appointments by the President. Yes, Honorable Speaker, let me go back to this issue. In terms of the consideration of the membership, the Section 175 of the Constitution was taken note of in terms of the members of the board shall be appointed by the President and after consultation with the Public Service Commission. That is the consideration that is made, because the original one is actually saying that the members of the board shall be appointed by the President after consultation with the Minister. That was the original, if you have your original bill. So that Minister is struck out and as proposed. And now the proposal is that the members of the board shall be appointed by the President after consultation with the Public Service Commission. That is the proposal. And 3, in appointing members of the board, the President shall have regard to gender parity, integrity, knowledge, expertise, and experience in matters relevant to the function of the Commission. So that is retained. Yes, Minister. And go ahead, the Minister seems to have something to say. Yes, I am done.
say something? Yes, no, go ahead.
That's why I'm looking for they have parity. That's what parity is being sensitive. In the last meeting we had with the committee. That's the amendment. There's an amendment there.
I'm looking for a rule. I'm the one reading, and I'm leaving the minister to make up.
Nobody is disputing that.
Honorable Chair, there is a reason why we are having this dichotomy. I'm simply saying that it is for the minister to make that proposal, and then the members will consider it. The original is parity, and there has been some.
That is what he has just raised.
I'm giving you more information, Honorable Chair. I'm giving you information, Honorable Chair. This is information for the Chair. I'm saying what is indicated here is the gender sensitivity. What is in the original bill is gender parity. Yes, there have been some discussion, but we leave the minister to actually make the proposal, and the members will consider it. I will not be making the proposal because I could not defend said.
Nobody is disputing the ability of anybody to understand.
The minister will explain. I think you can ask the Honorable Minister to explain the sensitivity of the movement.
Yes, but before I come to that, what is
Thank you. I said this proposal has been brought to us in our last meeting with the ministry, and it's the committee that has accepted this sensitivity instead of parity because of the reasons advanced by the ministry. So the change has actually taken place and is accepted by the committee.
Yes. When we met the committee, the issue of parity came in. Parity means equality. Somehow. So we thought that maybe if there are 7 members of the board, and you have exactly the same number of female and male on the board, and then able to do that. That's why the reason for sensitivity. Because the board will be more than more female in the board and more male in the board. But then you have to make sure that at least female component is recognized. So that's why we have to obtain more parity to sensitivity. That was the discussion that we had for the committee.
The ministry is proposing what prefers gender sensitivity to gender parity. Is that what you're saying? So I'm just asking because I was not there, so we don't have to be clear. So that we know the ministry's position and that of the committee. And then honorable members can take a decision. Now, Central Bank.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes. G, this one other person. I think it has to be specific. If it is gender, because it's good to see the gender is mentioned there, the gender dimension.
You don't understand. You're not confused yourself.
Before we make any point, why can't we allow the minister to make it clear to the members? Is this like, you know,
it is not a substantial amendment. We will clarify the Members, the ABC has scheduled the third reading of the bills for Monday, 29th of March 2021. But before that date, the Attorney General's Office and the Office of the Clerk, in accordance with Standing Order 7220, have 10 bills reprinted, amended by...
Yes, because you know what? When you don't come, because you don't clear like this.
Person in charge of the bills to report to the Assembly what transpired during the committee stage of the following bills. 1. Regarding Nationality and Citizenship Amendment Bill 2020, the Births, Deaths and Marriages Registration Amendment Bill 2020, Domestic Violence Amendment Bill 2020, and the Skin Bleaching Prohibition Repeal 2020. Honorable Attorney General, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I inform this Assembly that the Gambia Nationality and Citizens Amendment Bill 2020, the Births, Death and Marriages Registration Amendment Bill 2020, Domestic Violence Amendment Bill 2020, and the Skin Bleaching Prohibition Bill of 2020, all went through the committee stage and consideration stage. And some amendments and consideration of the bills are already for the current
Thank you very much, Attorney General, and also thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, as communicated earlier on at the consideration stage, third reading of the bills, that is the Gambia Nationality and Citizenship Amendment Bill 2020, Births, Deaths and Marriages Registration Amendment Bill 2020, the Domestic Violence Amendment Bill 2020, and the Prohibition Repeal Bill 2020 are now scheduled for Monday, the 29th of March 2021 for the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice to move forward for the third reading. However, before that date, the Attorney General's Office is hereby called to comply, Standing Order 7220, to ensure that all the amended versions are prepared and circulated to every members well in advance. Thank you very much. Honorable Attorney General, thank you very much for the announcements. Can we proceed with the next?
Thank you. With reference to Standing Order 72, consideration state of the Petroleum
Enterprises Committee and the Environment, Sustainability and NGO Affairs reported on the bill committee today, that is the Petroleum Commission Bill of 2020. The report of the Joint Committee was adopted at plenary, and accordingly the consideration stage for the bill is scheduled for today. And during the consideration stage, honorable members will have the opportunity to give detailed consideration and scrutiny to every clause and schedule contained in the bill, of course being guided by clause 72 of the standing points. And the consideration stage equally provides an opportunity for amendment to the bill to be debated and move on. I will therefore now resolve the Assembly in the Committee of the whole Assembly to give consideration to the bill, that is the Petroleum Commission Bill 2020. Thank you very much. The Assembly now resolves the Committee of the whole Assembly.
Yes, my page is different from everybody's page because of my writing. Could you environment tell them? Page 11 of this standard form of the report. Page 11. No, sorry, I said there is a standard form and then my own form goes on the side. Page 11. We've seen that in terms of the bill presented to us, the short title indicates that this act may be cited as the Petroleum Commission Act 2020. We are saying that the amendment should read, this act may be cited as Petroleum Commission Act 2021. We therefore propose that stands as part of the bill.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, it is proposed that clause 1, the short title of the bill, stand part of the bill.
Honorable Chair, we do have some observations and proposals. The bill as presented to us was reviewed by the Joint Committee, and our observation is thus: we received evidence and marked the absence of the following key concepts connected to petroleum activities under the interpretation clause in the bill. That is licensee, midstream, Petroleum Act, upstream. One will see that the original bill does not have the interpretation simplification of these four elements. We are now proposing that they be incorporated in the bill. And licensee will now be defined to mean a person who has entered into a license with the minister under the Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production 2003. In terms of midstream means the segment of the petroleum value chain comprising the processing, storing, transporting, and marketing of petroleum. Petroleum Act means Petroleum Exploration, Development and Production Act 2004, Chapter 65 to Volume 10 of the Laws of the Gambia as amended or repealed and or suspended or superseded by another legislative act from time to time. 4, we are also calling upstream means the segment of the petroleum value chain involving exploration, development, and production. This we propose incorporated in the bill. Furthermore, observation, Honorable Chair, that the mover of the bill will concur that the following terms are not adequately defined in the bill: financial year, government, local content, petroleum activities, petroleum data, petroleum resources, petroleum reserves, reconnaissance exploration. Yes, so we did agree for these terms to be adequately defined, and they are now to be in the bill that we have before us. We're going to propose their incorporation. Honorable Chair, if you look at the original bill, you will see the definitions that they incorporate, and we are now proposing to see the definitions that they incorporate, and development of the national capacity and capabilities for the benefit of the Gambian people and enhancement of the Gambian economy. I guess let me just go ahead and go on.
This is very sad. I really
No, just one. Yes, I wanted to suggest that he just mentioned first because we have had the draft bill, we have had, here we are having the written one. And the committee suggested is square. If unless they have an issue, we let it just mention rather than go to be
I share the same opinion. Yeah.
As when it arises, in case there are issues, it's not don't ask for clarification.
Yes, we thank them for that. We also thought the same, but we will not want to proceed without bringing in mind what the assembly. This proposed, therefore, that the terms that were absent, that is licensee, midstream, petroleum act, upstream, and the terms that were inadequately defined: financial year, government, local content, petroleum activities, petroleum data, petroleum resources, petroleum reserves, reconnaissance exploration, as incorporated in the final version stand as part of the proposed Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, it is proposed that clause 2, interpretation, stand part of the bill as amended and taken by the chair, co-chair of the government. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. So clause 2, yes. You said something? Yeah, but let's see. I understand the second care of right. Local content or should be defined. Sorry. Just, okay, honorable member.
Yes.
Something, the proposal, it was sent to the clerk, what it says is local content fund should be defined.
Yes, that's right.
Honorable Chair, do you have any reaction to that? That local content fund should be defined.
That is an input, even though local content is clearly defined.
On page 8 of the new page 8 from J. Administer money is paid to the local content fund.
Administer money is paid to the local content fund.
Yes, and we are not sure.
The local content fund.
Yes, it's not sure.
We get the view of the local, of the minister on that.
Thank you.
Yes, if you know what is to be defined and defined, but I think it's just the full of knowledge for the activities for development. So, I don't know whether we need to define it. The other content will have to be anyway. So, I don't have any capacity to define it yet.
Yes,
Yes, the reason why I'm asking for that is that yes. No, what I'm saying is
I am suggesting, or I want to suggest, I am in agreement with the solution. But just to move forward, you can liaise with the committee and the draftsman at the office of the removal of the control, so that you can have a good draft and then do some of it. Of course, you have to liaise with them. Before the third reading, you can get something that is agreeable to the committee, and of course, it will be submitted equally to other group members for them to have a meeting before the third reading. Maybe, I don't know whether it will be a position. I don't know whether the draft sources are here, but just like anyway. And in the meantime, you can grab something. Nowadays, we finish, we have something. I'm just thinking of a scenario when they will not finish up.
Honorable Chair, we are only entertaining this because something has been submitted for consideration. But if nothing is submitted, then we should just proceed and the bill we can come up with amendments later, because it's not a substantive issue at the moment, because subsidiary legislation will come and define more things. But since the member has submitted, yes, that's why I'm saying, Honorable, that the member can only intervene by submitting amendments. If no amendment is submitted, it's just proposal, then we should proceed on a normal circumstance.
That is exactly what we are doing.
Then let's proceed.
It's going to be suspended according to you. Now, we all agree with the suspension, but that should not stop them from any proposed amendment.
Yeah, before the end of the review. That's what I'm saying, that they have up to the end of the review, otherwise we
amendment, I think it is worth looking at. There's no harm. Like we did for the objects and clauses, we allow them to work together and come up with something that we can work with before the time we Let's proceed, please.
Thank you. Clause 3, establishment of the Petroleum Commission. Yes.
It is proposed that clause establishment of the Petroleum Commission stand
Honorable Chair, we did review it, and the consideration of the committee is that there is no valid opinion that we saw that indicated that there should be amendment to this particular clause. So it is proposed that we, without amendment, stands as part of it. Without amendment.
So it is proposed that clause 3, establishment of the Petroleum Commission, stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. So clause 3, establishment of the Petroleum Commission, now stand part of the bill. Yes, that
Thank you. Clause 4 of the Commission.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 4, objectives of the Commission, stand part of the bill.
Three just observation. The committee considered the objectives and observed that the Commission should focus on its key function of monitoring and relating petroleum activities in the upstream and midstream sectors.
It is J. This reference is to page 8 of the incorporated amendments. G. Administer monies paid to the local content fund until an act of parliament comes into force. So it's the addition. An act of parliament comes into force. That's the only. Are we interested in anything else on the 5? No. Yes, that's the only thing that we have received on the 5. Second by you.
Thank you. No, I was made by honorable member of the Assembly. Yes, honorable, what you are proposing? What of now if there are more monies paid before the act comes into being? Now, you say the one that you have find. Now, what if there are monies that are raised before the act? Who knows when the act is coming?
I think that's for the committee and the minister. Okay, let's take the observations. Yaniga.
Yes,
please, who is, I'm taking Yaniga. I was sitting there. Yaniga.
Yes, when you make when you put in the question, I think we should allow the co-chair to lead us what the committee has, the other members. No, he not said anything on clause 5.
It's better if we take the observations up to our side, and then the committee member chair will come. What do you think? You take from A, the response. You take from B, it may be the same. You take everything on the 5, then you will be in a better position to respond.
Well, first, Honorable Chair, if the committee pronounces whether it sees any amendment, and then if the committee has no amendment, and any member has amendment to propose, then they can come in.
Amendment that he has submitted, not here.
Yes,
Until an act of parliament comes into force.
No, we
It is
are
1 year. That is the reason why it's right now.
No, we are agreeing. We are saying what the member is proposing is that once you say that it's proposed that it stands part of the bill, then the mover would be able to intervene and then we'll vote. So, and the committee is acting on behalf of the mover in this instance because we have a consent. So we'll just just quickly say that we really don't see any need for an amendment, and now we can then proceed with the amendment proposed to simplify matters. You can go ahead.
I think we are
on track.
And it's just procedural, that's
there's only is.
Yes, Chair. What I think is to do is to allow the mover to explain himself what he actually meant by continuing. Yes, an act of violence. Let him explain so that we understand what he wants to propose.
I think I would do that we proceed. Anybody, we have not received anything other than the notice form. Honorable Member for Salon under clause 5, and it has been responded to by the chair of the committee leading the assembly to the report. So in that case, I think we can proceed. No, it's not for the honorable member for only his school. They have to proceed. Tell us how to proceed. No, definitely no. Honorable member for Upper Salon has submitted a proposal. The addition to the amendment here is to add an act of parliament comes into force. That's what he has proposed. In addition.
I don't understand.
No. If you don't get the chair.
Okay, we can clarify.
Yes.
So essentially, I do not see the relevance really, because it is simply establishing the law as it is. The law in the future will of course impact, on any other legislation. And if you go to it talks about if any act is inconsistent with.
Sometimes you have to allow the statements so that everything will be clear. But if you want to bring a point from seeking for further clarification, it doesn't have anyone. Thank you. So we are all together on those 5 functions of the Commission. Now, it is proposed that clause 5, functions of the Commission, stand part of the bill. That's amended, Honorable Chair.
Without amendment. Without amendment.
Sorry, my assistant told a different language. The amendment would have come into effect if we had accepted this. Thank you. So it is proposed that clause 5, functions of the Commission, stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. For clause 5, functions of the Commission now stand part of the bill. Thank you. Can you proceed?
Clause 6, establishment of the board of the Commission.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 6, establishment of the board of the Commission, stand part of the bill.
Honorable Chair, as originally put before us, the Petroleum Commission bill did establish the governing board of the Commission as the chairperson, general, an environmental specialist, a geoscientist, legal practitioner, permanent secretary, and one other person. They did consider the evidence given by the different institutions, and also the proposals made. We eventually accepted that the President may take note of the proposal of the GCCI to have one member nominated by them to be the one other person, or the cautionary remarks made by some of the specialists in appointing that one other member, so that there be that gender balance, but at the same time there will also be a consideration of not selecting people whose responsibilities may prejudice their performance as member of the Commission. So in that regard, we have come up with a proposal to amend the provision that talks about the environmental specialists. We include a social and environmental specialist. That is the amendment proposed to be incorporated as part of the document.
It's like amendment there, but it's language. Am I right?
Chair of the standing orders.
We'll give you 1 minute.
Since it's a matter of language, we can proceed with the
Yes,
Chair, why taking that it is G, sorry.
A C, which is proposed.
C,
yes.
That's what I think.
Yes, with addition so
yes. Let's just allow this.
Who's second there?
Doesn't appear to be substantive amendment, but the language to be full sense.
Well, I think this comprises of we should change off. I don't know how that came. And go ahead, the minister seems to have something to say. Yes, I am done. I'm done.
Say something? Yes, no, go ahead.
That's why I want to comment. They have parity. That's what parity is changed since the last meeting we had with the committee. That's the amendment. That's an amendment there.
I'm looking at the rule. I'm the one reading, and I'm leaving the minister to make up.
Nobody is disputing that.
Honorable Chair, there is a reason why we are having this dichotomy. I'm simply saying that Mr. to make that proposal, and then the members will consider it. The original is parity, and there has been some.
That is what he has just raised.
I'm giving you more information, Honorable Chair. I'm giving you information, Honorable Chair. This is information for the Chair. I'm saying what is here is the gender sensitivity. What is in the original bill is gender parity. Yes, there have been some discussion, but we leave the minister to actually make the proposal, and then the members will consider it. I will not be making the proposal because I could not defend said.
Nobody is disputing the ability of anybody to understand.
The minister will explain. I think you can ask the Honorable Minister to explain the sensitivity of the movement.
Yes, but before I come to that, what is
Thank you. I said this proposal has been brought to us in our last meeting with the ministry, and it's the committee that has accepted sensitivity instead of parity because of the reasons advanced by the ministry. So the change has actually taken place and it's accepted by the committee.
Yes. When we met the committee, the issue of parity came. Parity means equality. Somehow. So we thought that maybe if there are 7 members of the board, and if you have exactly the same number of female members of the board, then we will do that. That's why the issue of sensitivity. Because we want to be more than more female in the board and more female in the board. But then we have to make sure that at least female component is recognized. So that's why we want to have more parity to sensitivity. That was the discussion I think I before with the committee.
The ministry is proposing what confers gender sensitivity to gender parity. Is that what you're saying? So I'm just asking because I was not there, so we just have to be clear so that we know the ministry's position and that of the committee, and then the members can take a decision. Now, central bank.
Yes, thank you, Honorable. Honorable Chair, yes. G, this one other person, I think it has to be specific. If it is gender, because it's good to see the gender is mentioned there, the gender dimension. But this particular one is very open. To me, you have to be specific. I didn't give, but it's a subject of the discussion.
Suppose a board of the members decide to come up with that notice. I think there is need for notification. That's why the clause is very important.
No, I don't remove because if there is no proposing an amendment, then you guys know.
The essence of tree is to ensure, in the original bill, is to ensure parity. But tree, under the current provision, is regard to gender sensitivity, meaning that one woman would essentially be under consideration wherever the appointment is going to be made. So, in essence, the issue is more what is meant by sensitivity. You can even have 4 women in terms of the consideration of gender sensitivity, because you're talking about 7. So, how do you ensure balance? At least to have 3 women there, and the 4th thing be either male or female. Somehow, the gender sensitivity must lead to some element of parity at one level, and somehow, how do we point that? That is still a matter that I'm wondering. But just saying one woman and one other person will not serve the purpose. I would really request that the member just withdraws that particular one, so that we continue to look at the issue of equity somehow, where women will have 3 seats in this board.
Yes, thank you, the chair of the joint committee. But if you look at the parity that we're talking about, the sensitivity, talks about appointment of all the members. Like when they are appointing all the members, the 7 members, parity and sensitivity should be in consideration. I'm talking specifically about G, that one person that is to be appointed. You understand? That could be an affirmative action. So what are you talking of? Yes, in the moral aspect, the president should put on his gender lines to be gender sensitive. But G in particular is about one person. So that one person, I'm saying, let the president use the affirmative action to be a woman. So the other ones, they're looking at the director general a woman. You don't know where a woman. So it's not going to resolve the environmental specialist, the geospecialist. But what I'm saying is this G in particular to be a woman.
I don't want to create any controversy. Let us consider a scenario whereby the chairperson is a woman, the director general happens to be a woman, the social and environmental specialist is a woman, same with the geoscientists and all others. Gender is not just a woman, is it? Just a second. I'm just thinking aloud. Considering what has just said in relation to G, one other person to be a woman. Then you have about 8 women. Or 7 women. How would it go? Think about it. Honorable member for university. Just think about that. Yes? Yes.
Madam, I agree with you. I think, in fact, if you specifically say woman, you are in fact weakening your position in the commission. Because woman can be any of these persons. You can be director general, geoscientist, legal practitioner, and all these things. So why do you have to say this one person can be any other person also? You know, women are not the only people whom we should be sensitive. There are other groups that we should be sensitive to. It can be any one of them. I think it is in fact better this way because you can have 3 women, you can have 4 women.
Yes, in addition to that, I think let us not look at that aspect of it. Any other person, you may even try to get somebody from any other background as well. That one also is not from any other background. Let us not restrict it to either a woman.
I'm not saying that we're deviating, but I was thinking that the issue was between gender parity and gender sensitivity. But now we're going into so the amendment report and everything. Are we? So the amendments, Honorable Chair. Sarah,
yes, I understand.
yeah, no, I said so the amendments will take care of everything.
Yes, it will take care of everything because.
Yes, thank you. Now it is proposed that clause 6, establishment of the board of the commission as amended, stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. Now the clause, it is now proposed that clause 6, establishment of the commission, now stand part of the bill as amended. And the office, the ministry will have all the drafted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Clause 7, functions of the board.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 7, functions of the board, stand part of the bill.
Did make observation as a committee, the committee, so the policy-making powers of the Commission should be limited by law than the operational directives of the Commission, rather than the general policies of the sector, which is the responsibility of the Ministry. So in that sense, we looked at clause 7, especially B, where it says in the original bill submitted to the National Assembly, formulate policies. And instead, B is going to replace, in the incorporated version, the original, where it says formulate operational policies and strategies. In the same vein is F, where it is an addition, ensure annual audits of the books of the Commission. So in that regard, it is proposed that the bill as amended, clause 7 as amended, stands out of the bill.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 7 functions of the board stand part of the bill.
As amended.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. Those in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. Because your microphone, whenever I say mic on, I'm thinking that somebody wants to be on. Thank you very much. So the ayes have it. So it is proposed that clause 7 functions of the board as amended now stand part. Next clause.
Thank you. Clause 8, taking of office of member. Yes, taking of office of members.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 8, tenure of office members stand part of the bill.
This clause has been considered by the Joint Committee. It is observed that the original text states that the non-ex-official members of the board shall hold office for 3 years and may be appointed only once. That is retained. So clause 8 is proposed to stand as per the bill without amendment.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 8, tenure of office of members stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those, your microphone is not on from one cerebral mic is always on. Yes.
No, whereas the tenure of non-ex-official, I understand that.
I was even going to say that they are not in the seat of any office now stand part of the bill as amended.
Thank you. Clause 10, meetings of the board.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 10, meetings of the board stand part of the bill.
Honorable Chair, we observe that the Public Enterprise Act does limit the to 5. We looked at the original bill as submitted to the National Assembly, and the quorum at a meeting in clause 10, paragraph 3 of the original is a simple majority of the members, such number as may be determined by the board in respect of an important matter. So it was deemed necessary to incorporate what is in the Public Enterprise Act under clause 3. Under clause 10, paragraph 3, it now reads, the quorum at the meeting of the board shall be 5 members or such number as may be determined by the board in respect of an important matter. It is therefore proposed that clause then, as amended, stand by the bill.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 10 stand part of the bill with amendments. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not, please say no. The ayes have it. Now it is proposed that clause 10 now stands part of the bill as amended.
Clause 11, disclosure of interest.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 11, disclosure of interest, stand part of the bill.
Mr. Chair, we did review as a joint committee the clause 11. Consider the clause dealing with disclosure of interest before participation in board deliberations and the implication of not doing so. It is proposed that the person making any disclosure of interest should not remain seated during the deliberation in respect of the matter. It is therefore proposed that clause 11 with amendment as incorporated in the version, in this version. The version reads that a member of the board who has an interest in a matter for consideration by the board shall disclose the nature of that interest, and the disclosure shall form part of the record of the consideration of the matter, and recuse himself or herself from the deliberation of the board in respect of the matter. So, in essence, then, it is being proposed that clause 11 amendment stands as part of the bill as incorporated in the final version.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 11 stand part of the bill amendment. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Now propose that clause 11 stand part of the bill as amended. Thank you.
Clause 13, clause 12, establishment of board committees.
Thank you very much. It is proposed that clause 12, establishment of committees, stand part of the bill.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. The establishment of board committees is deemed to be a key element in building the local content architecture. It is seen that two of the clause 12, paragraph 2 of the original shall establish a local content committee to deal with the local content and local participation program. So essentially, as the member for Opasano has said, I think we will ultimately have to craft a schedule of subsidiary legislation that will ultimately indicate this whole concept of local content participation.
Otherwise, I will, or in the meantime, unfortunately, you let me allow them.
Yes, you may allow other inputs.
Let me take further. Please.
Yes, I think this is, for me, I've not seen any problem with it, because if you impose something, and they are saying it is listening, then you need to be reimbursed. So does the member, he does not want members of the commission to be reimbursed for expenses, especially to discharge of their activities. So I don't know why the man supposed to know, and you can explain.
Yes, I have a similar view, because if somebody is doing a particular function, that individual deserves right to be reimbursed, and that is what the committee consider during the I think I'm still maintaining that in this provision.
Yes, please.
I find it very members of boards are paid generally on revenue. And if they perform any function requiring expenditure, that will be determined by the board. I paid on the revenue when they come within their pay, but what are the things that they going to do? And who's going to determine what's reasonable? You don't push it this, you go, what is reasonable? Who is going to determine that? How can we define that reasonable? As long as they are paid their salary, and if they are going to go beyond that, like they are going to do something, that also is determined by the board. The expenditure is going to be determined by the board, not them.
So in essence, you support the deletion of this section?
To support the deletion of this particular clause.
No, it's not my proposal, it's not my amendment.
I'm supporting the deletion.
You're proposing.
I'm supporting.
You're supporting, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I said in essence you are supporting.
Yes.
Yes, so that's the secondment. So what do we take a vote on that?
Well, I believe it's about remuneration and expenses of members of the board. So the members of the board shall pay such remuneration and allowances as may be determined by the minister. The members of the board shall be reimbursed by the commission for reasonable expenses incurred in connection with the discharge of their function. What does the minister have to say?
Well, I think the purpose of this is sometimes members may have you take some expenses out of pocket to do certain things from how the board or activities. So that one can be reimbursed, so that understanding of it. But if this thing happens, once in a while you do some expenses which in such a duties is protocol. Making stuff, but the works on that goes. That's what I always say. But it depends on the disassembly.
But anyway, Section 31 of the Public Enterprise Act says that the non-executive directors may be remunerated out of the funds of the corporation in such manner and at such rates as the board may determine. So here the minister determines individual remuneration of the board members. But this is talking about funds of operation of the commission being also relied on to remunerate. I think we should really consider what the mover of the bill states and then consider the issue of accountability, which the members are looking at. So if one says reimbursed by the commission for reasonable expenses, what type of expenses are envisaged?
For me, what I understand, the remuneration in that section is quite different from what the is provided. What I'm asking, my question is it not possible for the committee, the board members, to spend outside their own, from their own pocket? Is it not possible for them to do that? If it is not possible, then this provision is not significant. But if it is possible, definitely we have to do that.
Really, I don't see any situation where members of the board would do such a thing. I don't see any situation where they will do it. And if they happen, this is going to be, that is already done by the board. It's a decision that is taken by the board. You don't Well, hold me any act where you have to take it.
Oh, thank you. I want to concur with colleague Council. I think we should be very much careful. Once this is legally binding, I don't see any problem with it because sometimes people do pre-financing and none of us here would like to do pre-financing and at the end of the day you are going to be refunded, to put it in layman's. So in essence, when just let's cross-check if it's legally binding, I don't see any problem in it, and I am concurring because it is very important. Once you do refinancing, you should be refunded, and normally there is refinancing in most of these institutions. Thank you.
Member for Radical Assembly. But before I give you the floor, can we think of members of pay? What happens in other public enterprises in similar clauses with regards to payment of out-of-pocket expenses in public enterprises? I'm sure you must have come up with something similar.
Yeah, thank you for that. Honestly, this is why we are seeing the less this. If you look at the public enterprises, some of the PEs, the way they are spending, if you look at it, what this is going to lead to is they're going to put a full change for some of these people to spend anyhow they want. For instance, some might spend in a good reason, but some might use this, they will capitalize on this thing, do any spending in anyhow they want it, and I don't know if they will have a problem. So it's better we totally out. We are talking about experience. No one we have been looking at the reports of the public enterprises, the financial statements and activity reports. So we are looking from that perspective. I think this should not be here. It should be removed. Thank you.
I think whether the members are trying to connect this to issue of the financing, I think it will slightly different. The financing is based on allocations that are approved before spending. So in this case, it is not pointed out where actually approval has been made before the spending. So the issue of refinancing cannot stand here to justify the proposal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It can be and it cannot be. Why the interest remains? Because also there was a commission that we established here as the land commissions. They cannot also invest the money. Here I said, let's see the best practice we do, and allow the minister also to apply for students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really agree with my brother, not only for Nyanya West. Pre-financing something, I don't think whether the director or the minister would like to ask his to finance something. Maybe if that was the case, then that was the, that will make us to approve it. But to me, I think it's important to believe this and finish it at all.
Well, I believe that we should consider what the minister said and what the member has said.
One member will be traveling for so that you have to give more. That's why. So, for me, what you have member of the has already read is indicative of everything. Anything else, any other expenditure incurred by a board member will be done by the board.
Thank you very much. I think what we got to understand finances are mandated by a budget, which is approved by the board. So essentially, if you're going to make any out-of-pocket expenses, that is not actually captured in your budget, I don't think you should be reimbursed. What we are trying to do here is to ensure that there is financial discipline in all the sectors. Essentially, that's the bottom line. So, you know, internally, or in the internal workings of those commissions or state-owned enterprises, of course, they have ways and means by which employees can be reimbursed for certain things. They have that internal. That is internal. I'm not doubt about that. But if you make this into a law, what's going to happen is the commission, the Director General, will find it very difficult for a board member to go out and make an expenditure and come out here, because the next thing we tell you are the law says this. That's what we are trying to run away from. If we remove it, in their internal procedures, they will say, well, yes, in such situations happen, then we can do this A or we can do B. But the moment we put it into a law, there's a problem. Because of the financial, or the accountant, or the financial director, what's with the budget? And every project you have items that are covered and items that are not actually covered. So if you leave it like this into law, they may run the risk of, fighting back and forth. The Director General and also the board members. They have their fight. But before they do anything, they will call and find out whether they will be reimbursed or not. And if they say yes, they will be reimbursed, then they correct. If they say no, they will stop it. So essentially, you are trying to reduce the risk of having to, have a fight between the
Thank you very much, ma'am. I always want to talk about board. Board members are volunteers. Board members are always volunteers, and board members are not individual candidates. Maybe the directors may come up with something, and then the board members will say no. But what about if the board members come up with something that should not be how it should be? I think this should be deleted, and then we let the board members know that they are volunteers. Maybe what should happen is, what will happen with the auditors? Because for me, this is not a good practice. If you look at what happens on board members, when we have meetings, they will say, tell the directors and the management that what they are doing is not what they should do. But what about for them if they are doing what will happen? To me, this is not a good practice. I think it should be eliminated.
I think honorable members, we are in receipt of this proposal. It is concrete. It's written. It should be deleted. It has been seconded. We have had views. So why would we not take a vote on it and then proceed? Otherwise, we will be receiving further recommendations. I want us all to be on the right path. Otherwise, everybody will have a say, and it will be on and on and on and on. And at the end of the day, we may not necessarily make any headway. Of course, until at the end of the whole debate when we take the vote. But in the meantime, I was just thinking that we can take a vote. It has been moved a second there, that the second subsection, section 13.2, be deleted from the draft. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. No. So the ayes have it. No. Okay, otherwise, can we have those in favor, please raise your hand. For the deletion, right? Yes. I'm talking about the deletion. Yes, the deletion. Those in favor. Those of the deletion.
Hello.
Yes.
Well, I thought you were going to yes, I thought you were going to give us the last opportunity.
Can you just move because probably we have more coming. Only this, but just bear in mind that
okay. Honorable Speaker, Chair, we are dealing with a very important commission. It's about filing, which is, if it progresses very very lucrative. And we are very concerned about the integrity of the people who are going to be in this commission, in this board. We don't want issues of corruption and politics. Anything that is going to happen in this commission should be law, should not be based on any other way of doing this. It should be done on law, it should be remunerated properly, it should be reimbursed, so that issues of corruption and politics will be nipped in the bud. That is the objective of putting everything in law. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'll just pick up from where you left. I think this is a money-making institution and we have to be extremely careful. Having the Commission decide what is reasonable and what is not regarding their expenses will open the doors to undue influence from the management to the board itself. So I think with the example you gave, the best solution based on your experience would be to have an insurance policy to cover you all around, also these instances wouldn't arise and the board members be eliminated and you plan properly so these instances wouldn't arise. So I would go for the issue of this as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think what this was actually asking for is the most, meaning what has already been spent and that was not planned. And it is spent out of his or her own will. It was not assigned, it was not a call on him or her to do that spending. And hence it is about the financial matter. We have to get there. But if you look at clause 19, there is a clause that is amended and made it very clear that an expenditure shall not be made out of the fund of the Commission unless the expenditure has been approved by the board in the budget. So this, I don't think I can be any good justification for it. Let's go stay with that.
Thank you. Yes, this is exactly what I was going to point out about issuing budget. If this is left there, it will cause problems for the finance direction. Because they will go and spend not knowing whether that was approved in the budget or not. So that ambiguity, I say, let's remove it completely. That's why I started. So the issue I was mentioning about is about institutions. But those ones, there is a condition before you are able, especially in the private sector. So my stand is this particular clause must be removed completely to avoid any issue for the finance director.
But if what the arguments are that it be deleted because it can create a lot of issues, it's not agreed. Well, that is the impression I'm having from the cabinet. So what I still believe that we should maintain it, but we can put it to the committee. What I think the committee recommendation allowance is circumstances can arise by board members and other staff members can expense.
Honorable members, with all due respect, we have two views: to maintain, to retain it, or to have it. Okay, let me see, to delete it as a proposal, or to maintain it. I mean, and the assembly cannot be taken by one side alone. So we have to take all opinions into consideration. And the only way that that can be done to end the majority carries the vote is for us to take a vote on it, which I think is fair. That's the procedure. I stand to be corrected. But I think that's the best thing. Otherwise, we will be going by the opinion of maybe about 3 or 4 people, when in actual fact, we're not even sure. Before we take final
comment is that the minister still maintains a position that out-of-pocket expenditure will continue. Do we agree that that will continue? Or are we going to have...
Please, if it is, I'm not preempting the minister, if it is, then according to Serekunda, there is no need for 2. because it's already captured under allowances. Now, then what next? I think that is the clarification. No, Woolley is pleased. That is the clarification that they want, or that Woolley West is asking for. Am I right? Yes.
Honorable Speaker, I think the minister is getting even confused. I think I'm getting a bit confused about this because I think I've given all my explanations that I can do in terms of from my experience, etc. But then the issue of allowances, some of this out-of-pocket money paid is not something that is an allowance as such. You know, it happens. You don't even expect to happen. It happens. So it's not something that, as I said, from all experiences, these payments do happen. But it's not like a statutory allowance, you know. So it is this debate.
Sorry, no, I'm coming. May I propose, well, sort of a compromise? Now, can we think of suspending this, what is it called? This clause with this proposal? No, just look.
Madam, can you take the vote? Can you take the vote?
Yes. Can we think of suspending it for the time and reflect thoroughly on it? We have more bills to be tabled at consideration. We can always continue with this and then proceed with the clauses. Otherwise, anytime something is proposed, there will be counter proposals, and then we will go on and on and on. We've already spent, you may not be aware, almost an hour, or almost coming to an hour on whether to delete or not to delete this very section. I mean, it's just a proposal. Yes, Honorable Chair.
Yeah, it's proposed that we suspend.
Please, let me hear the Chair. Sorry.
Yeah, it is proposed this clause and then move to the rest. Then we will be able to look at it before the third reading. The important thing is that we are making laws that are fit for purpose. And one issue that has been mentioned by the minister is something is already happening, but statutorily provided. So if that is to be sustained, and we provide a statutory provision to guide how it is supposed to be done, then we are to legislative reform. We are adding something. So we should not really see it as negative to add something that has not been in the statute books. It should be seen as progressive. So I believe that we need more input from the Accountant General. We can look at the issue, Honorable Chair, and then yes.
More reflection.
Yes, we should.
Yes, more reflection. But it is just on this clause for the time being.
Yes.
We have in the past suspended many clauses of a bill to reflect further on it and then come back. We will have technical input, expert here and there, and then at the end of the day, we come out with something that is worthy of the National Assembly. Thank you.
So
we can proceed.
Proceed to clause 14 then.
Clause 14, yes, appointment of the Director General.
Thank you very much. It is, yes. It is proposed that clause 14, appointment of the Director General and part of the bill.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. The joint committee did consider this clause. The committee observed that indicating that the Commission is headed by a Director General, and that is what is stated on the clause 14 of the original bill. It says that the Commission shall be headed by a Director General who shall be appointed by
we are on the appointment of the Director
Yes,
General.
well, he is just seeking clarification.
On?
The principal functions of the Commission stipulated on the objectives are on the clause 4 and the functions of the Commission, clause.
So it takes us back to 4.
It's clause 5. Somebody is telling me 7 at my background, so but it's clause 5 as I stipulated.
That is functions of the Commission?
Yes.
Yes, I just wanted to be sure because I want him to be ahead of us.
Yes, so he just sought clarification.
Yes.
Yeah, we can proceed.
Something that we had already dealt with, so he is seeking. We're together?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Then it is...
It is proposed that it's part of the bill.
Sorry, Honorable Chair.
Sorry, it is...
The proposal. I just need clarity. Do we have a copy of the proposal? Because I just want to know exactly. I missed certain...
And when it was being distributed, it has been distributed.
Yeah.
This one, the Petroleum Commission Bill 2021?
No, the proposals he's making for amendment.
The proposal from the chair.
Okay, they're in the report. I don't have a copy of the report. Can you just please kindly go back to, I heard that he or she should have at least 5 years experience. That's the part I missed. In exactly what?
Whole advanced qualifications.
Advanced qualifications.
And has at least 5 years experience relevant to the principal functions of the Commission.
Okay, that's where his confusion.
That is also on page 13.
Okay.
I have it on my page 13.
Okay, that is where I think he's am I allowed to ask them?
Clarification?
Clarification, yes. So this 5 years experience has to be related to matters the Commission is doing, which takes us back to Section 5, which is mostly regulatory matters. Can you give us an example of what 5 years experience are you looking for? Someone that has 5 years experience, for example, in law and policy, or someone, because that could create a problem.
Well, it is important that we are really focused on the task before us. The task before us is that we have a bill, Petroleum Commission Bill 2020, given to us as a joint committee for consideration. Indicated in that bill is the appointment of the Director General under Clause 14, that the Commission shall be headed by a Director General. We are proposing that that language gives the impression that the Director General is the head of the Commission and the Commission has a board. We're saying then, to replace it, our proposal is that the Director General is the Chief Executive Officer. That the Chief Executive Officer of the Commission shall be the Director General. This is our proposal, who shall be appointed by the President after consultation with the Board and the Public Service Commission. That is Section 175 of the Constitution, so that is proper. Now, the next proposal they made in that bill is that the Director General shall hold office on the terms and conditions specified in his or her appointment letter and hold qualifications and be experienced in matters relevant to the principal functions of the Commission. Now, the members looked at that and see that that is still a little bit...
Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking clarifying questions, because we could not have done this at the time when the report was presented. No. When the report was presented, we said, let's wait when we get to the floor. If you want to make any amendments, then we make. So now I don't think, I think this is the right time to seek for clarification on any clause that we have.
Are you saying that you cannot ask questions at the time of laying of the reports? Is that what is being said? When the report was being laid here, questions were not asked?
Honorable Chair, to help the members so that we can proceed, the reports were laid precisely for debate on the assumptions, we call it assumptions made by the Joint Committee that are formulated into a proposal. And all members had the obligation to look at that and accept or reject the report. But once the report is accepted, then we are now moving to the consideration, which is already grounded on the Standing Order 72, that once a clause is read, then anybody with amendment can come up with the amendments, and we can debate on the amendments and move. It should be a very fast process. This should not take the hours that it is taking, really. It's amendments being there, that's what we are going to debate on. And we all agreed that the procedure, the Joint Committee will intervene. And after the intervention, if there are any amendments proposed, then we consider those amendments. But other than that, we should go to the voting process, either to reject or accept the provision and move on. We are making the law. Either accept it or we reject it and move on.
If I may just clarify, if we are supposed to debate on the amendments proposed, I think this is an amendment proposed by the committee. Is the amendment is being proposed by the committee in their report, which was adopted. And here, if you propose an amendment, we can debate on the amendment. I think this, during the debate is when we ask for clarifications to make a decision on the vote. And that's what we have been doing.
But my understanding is already debated. The report.
No, during consideration stage, when an amendment is proposed, you can debate it. That's what he just read.
But the amendment were already incorporated and the report was laid.
But that doesn't still remove the right that during consideration, when any amendment is read, you can debate it. That is what the law. Yes. So this is an amendment that is being proposed by the committee. So that is what I'm seeking clarification on. They're seeking clarification of adding a 5-year experience to it. So I just really want to know.
But I also want clarification. The 5-year experience and the advanced qualification is already here. Is it a new amendment now?
That is the amendment being proposed so that it stands as part of the bill. We're saying
yes, but it was already incorporated.
Yes.
That's what I want to understand. It's already incorporated.
But it must be proposed. Yes, it's incorporated.
But yes. What I am saying is...
It is.
It is.
Yes.
And it was already debated.
Yes, indeed.
You already took a decision. You were here.
Honorable Chair, if I may just help, regardless of the fact that we took a decision, it is in the law. Yes, it was debated and we took the decision. It is in the law that once you propose the amendment, we debate on the amendment and take a vote. That is it. This is now stands, or put that report aside and whether it was adopted or not. The proposals are being amended now. The report is different from this procedure. The proposals are being, proposals of amendment are being made now. This is a proposal of a committee. We have to, and that's what we've been doing with section 13.2. The committee proposed, we were debating and asking questions.
I don't know. It seems as if we now want to adopt a different procedure. Wooly is?
Yes, thank you. I think we should understand each other. The debate comes only when there is a new proposal on the proposal made by the committee. That's the only time when there will be it. Since there is no new proposal on this clause, you should just put it to us, and then we say yes or we say no, we pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I think if a member seeks for a clarification, a chair did explain, and she is not still satisfied. She wants the minister to respond. There's no crime in that. If the minister can respond, let him respond. She wants more clarification. She said she is not satisfied with what the chair said. Now she wants the minister. She said probably the minister can help me. I think the minister could be.
I don't think that was what she said. I think she wants the debate.
She said so.
Minister to explain?
No. Honorable Chair, either the Assembly accepts that the committee acted on its behalf, it did not act on its behalf. The support of the report indicates that the National Assembly accepted that the committee acted on its behalf. And that is why the procedure we have now accept is that the committee, after you move that we accept the clause to stand as, if there are any amendment as proposed by the committee, then that amendment is put. And once it is put, we should go to vote on that amendment. If it is accepted, it stands as part of the bill, then we proceed. But if a new amendment proposed, which must be submitted, then that is open for the, and even accepted them, approved them, or passed them with amendments. And all that had happened. We could have done so. But we can also put in our own proposal for amendments. You know, that, so nobody is confined. Just write and say, this is what you want incorporated in it, and then it will be considered. So I don't see any problem. We have been doing what should be done until now. We are just delaying the process. This is clause 14. What is there in the bill has been read. What is agreed with the minister to be incorporated is read. What is left? We can open up the debate. Will we agree with the minister? We'll be able to really move on with the bill. We are just delaying ourselves. So this has all been dealt with between the committee and the minister. We cannot force him to accept certain provisions. He cannot force the committee to put in certain points. We negotiated until we reach a balance. And that balance is what is before you for acceptance, so that we can move the bill forward. That's what lawmaking is all about. So I don't see any relevance now asking about 5 years, 10 years, because unless you put in a proposal, make a proposal and say, I don't want it to be 5 years, I want it to be 10 years, then that can be considered. 5 years, that can be considered. But we are telling you we have already negotiated with the minister, and they believe that this is something they can live with.
Do you have a concrete proposal for the tenure, the term, and the other aspect that you mentioned?
Write it down. I do not need to have a concrete proposal to ask questions. Section 72(6) is very clear. It says the clerk shall call each clause in succession, and the person in charge of the bill shall move the clause when called to do so. If no amendments are offered, no debate shall ensue. If amendments have been notified or are offered, including amendments in the form of leave-out clause X or inside, the proposer of the lead amendment is called to move his or her amendment, and debate ensues. This is expected. Yes, this is the amendment. You are proposing. This debate should end. You cannot stop the debate. Debate should happen. Honorable Chair, this is an amendment to what was given to us. The original bill does not have a 5-year inserted. They are the ones proposing that. The committee is the one.
That is what he has written. I'm not sure whether that amounts to what is it called? To an amendment. Whether he wants it deleted, in which case deletion can amount to an omission. I mean, deletion can amount to an amendment.
Well, it's an amendment proposed, so it should be.
You want to, let me read it again?
Yes.
Okay, I propose that clause 17, sections 2A and 2C, full stop, and B, should be subject to an act of National Assembly, not regulations made under this act. Sorry, just a second.
Is there a secondment of it?
I want to second that proposal. Yes. And if I can just clarify and give examples. If you read section 17, 2, it says the funds of the commission shall consist of monies paid to the commission from signature bonuses and licenses, surface rentals from licenses, and monies accrued from the sale of licensed data. and it jumped and said at C that, and it jumped B, it says monies that accrue from the Commission in the performance of its function. C, it states training and resources funds which shall be administered and managed by the Commission in accordance with regulations made under this Act. So you would realize that the three mentioned under 2A are actually separated from what is going to be managed under regulations made under this Act. So the offshore monies that would come in, it does not state how they are going to be managed. The only monies that it states how it's going to be administered are the training and the resource funds. So normally in all other jurisdictions, these monies are actually managed by a Petroleum Revenue Management Act, which would state how these funds are to be administered. It is not left to the what they want to do with these funds, because that is not clear.
GNPC and the social fund of this commission is almost the same. So what that is telling me is there should be something somewhere in terms of like an act of parliament that would determine what should go to GNPC and what should go to the commission itself and what should go to the government. And we don't have that yet, unless maybe the minister can help us understand. Because these are funds that are coming from the petroleum sector. Now you are saying that GNPC funds will come from there. You are also saying the commission funds is going to come also from the same place. Where is that law that determines who gets what? So maybe the minister understand, because I'm getting confused here. Because if you are saying the same sources of funding for these two institutions, it's going to come from the same place. Who determines who gets what at one time? So I think we need to get more explanation from the minister, so that because I'm getting confused a little bit here. So I need more clarification from the minister. Is it that there is a policy already in place, in association with the Minister of Finance, that determine this revenue that are coming, how is it going to be shared? I do not know. Or is it that internally they already have something that framework that they're working on that need to be to Parliament to approve? I don't know. So let the minister help us understand. These funds that are coming from the petroleum sector, how is it distributed? Because I'm getting confused with GNPC getting the same funds, the commission also going to get the same funds. So I need some more explanation on this issue.
Well, I think the matter be properly examined. We are talking about executive functions. The commission is a byproduct of an executive initiative. The GNPC is the same. Is the executive coming to us to indicate the need for institutions to be built? What is before us is a Petroleum Commission bill to establish a Petroleum Commission. What is the function of a Petroleum Commission? When they approach us, as you would eventually see in the amendment, they were talking about appropriation from the National Assembly to sustain the commission. We invited finance, and they indicated that that is not the way forward. The objective is for commissions, SOEs to depend on their own source of funding rather than relying on Parliament from them with funds. So where are they going to get the funds? That is what is stipulated under Clause 17. Do we object them from getting funds from these sources? Well, this is clearly the sources that commissions derive resources from. We had the GNPC, we had their concerns, and we've made it very clear that certain sources of income must be regulated in such a way that all institutions that should benefit would be able to benefit. Regulations are subsidiary legislations. To talk about an act of parliament, You cannot create acts of parliament for everything. You create an act of parliament and then you subject them to certain regulations in implementation. Regulations are instrument to facilitate implementation. All those to avoid abuse, you put them in those regulations. And those regulations under Standing Order 80 are subject to review by this Assembly. We review. There is a committee. So essentially, what are we talking about? What is essential here? Maybe in the drafting, you may talk about the regulation. All these other source of funding be subjected to the same regulation. That is understandable. If we say, let's make it regulation. But essentially, because I think is healthy, but clearly, we can.
Sources of revenue, that's my proposal, for these 3 sources of revenue to be administered through an act of parliament called the Petroleum Management Act, or they can give it any other name, but there must be an act that manages these 3 sources of revenue, which are the most important sources of revenue, different from the training and resource funds. At C, they went further to state, they separated the funds, that the training and resources funds shall be administered in accordance with regulations made. Those can be administered through regulations. But these 3 are so important and so large in amounts that in all other jurisdictions, the best practice is it is managed through an act of parliament and not subsidiary legislation.
I see. Now, I think I am beginning to understand where you come. So, Roman 1, 2, 3, you have 2. 2C again, probably your numbering is not right, because if you say 2A, Roman 1, 2, 3, and then, exactly, then it.
If you want to receive monies from UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland, and the rest of the world, Supersonic's money transfer has got you covered. With the largest payout network in the Gambia, you can now receive your monies anywhere you are, from Kartong to Koina, with less. Yes! You can receive monies from your family and friends in UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland, and the rest of the world with our safe, secure, fast, and convenient service that offers you the largest selection of payout locations in the area. Supersonic's money transfer. We are currently in 34 African countries and counting, giving you quality money remittance services that are second to none. Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple Store today to download the Supersonic